So I'm filming this video on a Friday, and it occurred to me that I could in fact make this a Blockbuster night if we were in the 1990s.
Make it a Blockbuster night.
Make it a Blockbuster night.
Make it a Blockbuster night.
Today we're going to talk about Blockbuster Video, which over time became a 9,000 store, $5 billion a year behemoth.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, there are some pretty incredible business lessons to learn from this nostalgic business. So whatever happened to Blockbuster Video, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. In this video, you're going to learn how Blockbuster went from just a single store in Texas in the 1980s to an absolute juggernaut in the home video industry.
Now this is a video store.
My name is Scott Monday, and I produce videos about nostalgic businesses like Blockbuster. I would love for you to like, share, or subscribe if you can remember wandering the aisles of Blockbuster Video in the 80s and 90s like I do. So it all started in 1985, the way many great things start, with a nerd who saw a problem. Now, this nerd's name was David Cook, and he was in Dallas, Texas. Once again, the year was 1985. And the video stores at the time, their main issue was this. They only had a couple hundred titles. And the reason they only had a couple hundred titles is because managing the videos, what was checked out, what's being returned, what the late fees might be, was just a nightmare. Well, 1985, David Cook was a computer systems guy, so he actually developed a barcoding software that allowed his video store to actually carry thousands of titles instead of just hundreds.
What a difference, Blockbuster Video.
In addition to that, his stores were clean, they were well kept. He had an assortment of snacks and other things to help add to his revenue figures.
Oh, plus they have all kinds of video games for the kids.
And really, at the end of the day, he figured out a way to simply do what had been done for the last 15 or 20 years even better.
Wow, wow, wow.
And by the mid-1990s, well, Blockbuster was the king of Friday night. We all remember wandering through where there'd be 75 copies of John Travolta in Face Off, or Jurassic Park would be dominating an entire aisle, right? But you know what? Most of the time the videos were in stock, and it was because David Cook built a system to make sure the product was there for the customer when they wanted it.
Blockbuster has all the hot summer hits.
So fast forward through the 80s and 90s, and David Cook built out thousands of stores and really came to dominate the industry. And one of David Cook's key attributes was his ability to use a franchise concept on his store's expansion. So all the stores were laid out the same way, the procurement was very similar, he obviously was able to buy in bulk, and he really used this concept of systematizing his rollout and was able to develop thousands of stores before he sold. So in 1994, Viacom comes along and offers David Cook $5 billion for Blockbuster Video, which by that time had achieved thousands of store locations and was a great find for Viacom, which was trying to continue their dominance of the entertainment market. And by the time Viacom purchased Blockbuster, Blockbuster had 65 million users across the United States and 25% of the video market share. So Viacom kept the momentum going, and at one point they were actually adding a new store location every 17 hours. Growth was simply incredible, once again using the system that David Cook formulated. But as with many large businesses, there was a little bit of a crack in the foundation when it came to customer satisfaction. And I don't know if you recall Blockbuster's late fee process, but man, you could really rack up some significant late fees if you didn't return the videos on time. And that was the spot that this little startup called Netflix identified as the way that they could infiltrate the video market.
There's a better way to rent movies. As many as you want for just 20 bucks a month, and no late fees.
See, late fees were pretty arduous, but for Blockbuster, they were $800 million a year. In fact, their business model relied upon late fees to make it all work. Now, they would generate income from snacks and, of course, the video rentals and membership fees, but the late fees were a key way that they achieved the profitability that they achieved. Well, in 1997, Netflix comes along and launches their DVD mailing process. If you recall, it was kind of a new thing where they'd actually send you 1, 2, or 3 DVDs at a time, and you can keep them as long as you want. You couldn't check out anymore, but there was no late fees. You just put them back in the envelope and sent them back when you're done.
There's a movie waiting for you at home. Netflix. All the DVDs you want, starting at only $9.99 a month, no late fees.
And then in 2000, Netflix comes knocking at Viacom's door and says, hey, we have this little startup. In fact, we're starting to get into this concept called streaming video. Do you want to buy us for $50 million? Well, the Blockbuster video people laughed them out the door because what was this streaming thing all about? I mean, could there ever be a time when internet speeds were sufficient to actually stream full-length feature films? They said no way, and that was the wrong call.
I'm gonna pick up a movie from Blockbuster.
Okay, drive safely.
Well, Blockbuster decided that they too would enter the streaming game, but it was way too late. It was actually in 2004 when they did that, 4 years after Netflix offered to sell.
Now Blockbuster is as close as your mailbox. Introducing Blockbuster Online.
By then, Netflix had some incredible customer retention. The customer had changed in terms of what they wanted, and streaming was where the customer was, and Netflix simply beat Blockbuster to it. And that was the beginning of the end for Blockbuster because the Great Recession came along, and in 2010, with $900 million of debt, Blockbuster shut down. They went from 9,000 stores to 1 in just a few years. So what are the lessons for us when it comes to Blockbuster? We all remember this business fondly.
There's a world of adventure just waiting for you.
We all remember going down the aisles of Blockbuster and looking at all the different videos. And at one time you were probably like me and thinking, man, this thing will probably never fail. It is a venerable American institution.
I can make everyone happy at Blockbuster.
Well, here are the lessons that we can grab from this. Number 1, success can hide risk. When you're cruising along and dominating the market, you think you're the best out there, but you never know what's lurking around the corner. You never know if there's a Netflix with a better idea and better execution right around the corner. Quite frankly, you're content, you're happy, you're moving right along, but you just don't know what's out there coming to get you. And the second lesson from Blockbuster, customers evolve quickly. Think about it. In just a few years, we went from getting in our car, going to the Blockbuster, walking down the aisles, choosing our video, shopping for our movie, to receiving them in a small white envelope in the mail. That's a pretty distinct change in behavior, but of course we went from a less convenient form of delivery, going to the store, to a more convenient form. Well, customers changed quickly over just a few years. The idea of going to a video store all of a sudden seemed antiquated, whereas Blockbuster didn't change in time. It's much more difficult to change a business model than it is for the customer to change their buying habits. And I think the last lesson here, which is something I've really tried to pay attention to, is the future knocks softly. There's just little small indications about how your industry is changing at first. And if you're not listening very closely, you can miss those opportunities to get better. Another way to look at it is the adage of always looking for ways where you can put yourself out of business. I think that's really important to remember because if you don't think about it, your competition will, and they're going to eat your lunch. So let me know in the comments, what was your favorite Blockbuster moment? What do you remember fondly from Blockbuster, or what video do you remember getting from Blockbuster that caused you to rack up just some exceptional late fees? I'd love to hear in the comments, let me know, and please, by all means, subscribe. I'm gonna be producing these videos every few weeks. I think you'll really enjoy the next one up, and we'll talk to you next time.
Blockbuster's hot summer hits. Take them home and make it a Blockbuster night.